It's field goal day in Florida over at Tampa Bay. It's 6-3. Tampa Bay leads Cleveland. 3 field goals in that game and 2 field goals here in Miami as the Saints lead 6-0. Check Muncy. Muncy spills over the 20 and out to the 23-yard line where he was upended by Doug Fetters, the right end.
And A.J. Dewey is in on the tackle again. He's all over the field. Does a good job of blitzing the quarterback.
Holding, number 71, offense, decline,
That was
fourth
on
down.
James Taylor, 4th down. The Saints have never had a winning season. Last fall, they went 8-8. That was their best season ever. That's why they're disappointed with this start this year, because they thought they'd get off to a better start. They lost a tough one to San Francisco. Herc Slavin will kick.
He'll get the ball up high. He does that very well.
He does. Way up there. Fair catch called on the 15-yard line by Tony Nathan. And Miami puts the ball in play in the last 3:15 of the first half in poor field position. Well, we saw somewhat of an offense the last time the Dolphins had the ball, Hank.
Yeah, but they still have problems in that they've had the ball 5 times. Each team normally, Kurt, has the ball 13 possessions in a game. Miami has it 5 times so far. They started out at 19, minus 25, minus 10, minus 18, minus 15. Whereas the Saints have already had it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions.
First down. A strong left because the tight end Hardy's on the left side. You're always strong to the side of the tight end. Delvin Williams being pushed right along the line of scrimmage and out of bounds by Ray Brown, the strong safety, number 27. He refused to budge an inch there.
That, Kurt, was a wasted play because Brown was right on the line of scrimmage. It's like having an 8-man front. They ran right into the strength of the defense, had no chance whatsoever to succeed in making any yardage on the play. Good defense on the part of the Saints.
Nathan is replacing number 24, Delvin Williams. Ronnie Coleman has driven over a yard out for a touchdown. It's Cincinnati 10, Houston 7. 1:17 to go in the first half at Cincinnati. Second down 10.
Saints in the Oklahoma 3-4 defense.
Woodley, the rookie quarterback. Throwing deep, 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 long. Maybe an interception. It is. Tommy Myers right there with Tony Nathan. Grabbed that ball like a center fielder over his right shoulder and held on to it on a tumbling catch.
Yes, he did a good job. Great anticipation. And he watched the quarterback. Tommy does a great job of watching the quarterback and watching his eyes. And if he looks in one direction, he gets a good jump. Caught the ball like a center field that time. Maintained possession, and the Saints have good field position again with the ball on the 42-yard line.
New Orleans ball on their 42. There's the rookie Woodley. His first start today.
They've done a good job with a play-action pass several times on 1st and 10. Let's see if he does it here in this situation.
Wilson and Holmes are the running backs. Fake by Manning. Pass is blocked by Doug Fetters, number 75, who is roaring in there. It'll be second down 10.
It was a play-action pass, this time to the slot side. Archie fakes with a hand. Good fake. But Doug Fetters, number 75, as Archie releases the ball, there you see him, 75, makes the deflection and falls incomplete. And he had the back open that time in the flat.
Saints ball on their 42. They're leading 6-0. 2:51 remaining in the first half. Second and 10. Chandler's coming to the left. Buffalo leading Oakland 17-0. Dick Nickemeyer just kicked a 30-yard field goal. That's still in the second period. Manning being chased, sets the screen up perfectly to Wilson. The 50, what an acting job they did on that. He's still going, and he's finally pushed out of bounds somewhere along the sideline on the 27-yard line. But Manning acted like if he was in deep trouble. He let him pour in and set that screen up perfectly.
Take the play-action screen, watch it. He fakes that time to Wilson and then throws back against the fake to Wilson. Wilson is going down the sideline. Betters is chasing him, 75. He runs through some traffic, maintains his balance, got the ball in the wrong arm. Had he had it in the other arm, he might have been able to straight arm the guy and go all the way for the touchdown, Kurt.
That's right. Dick Nolan now has his club going. It's first down to Orleans on the Miami 27. That play covered 31 yards. 2:39 to go. Fullback Jack Holmes has it. Throws the pass, and they were alert to that one, but he nearly caught the ball, not quite. Wes Chandler thought he should have had it.
He did have it, and on the way down, he lost possession of it. It would have been a fantastic catch, but he did have possession, and then on the way down, lost possession of the ball.
The Saints opening up now with trick plays, trying to score a touchdown in the last 2.5 minutes of the first half. Look at that.
There you see it. As he's coming down, he lost possession.
They didn't fool the Dolphins. They were back there.
Yes, they were back there in good shape, but they just did not execute well on the play.
It is second down 10. New Orleans on the Miami 27. Manning backpedaling again. Crossing. Incomplete. Pass intended for Chandler. Chandler running the slant, the toughest pattern for a receiver in football when you go into that middle and they're waiting for you.
And Dewey that time was blitzing on the play. Here again, it's a remarkable throw by Archie Manning. He had pressure on him, but he got the ball right out in front like it should have been, but it was just dropped by Wes Chandler. And he doesn't drop many of those.
Ernest Roan and Glenn Blackwood come into the secondary. Then Herder's taken out. Chambers goes out. Third down, 10. Saints on the Miami 27. 2:25 to go in the half. Orleans ahead, 6-0. Draw play to Wilson. He is stopped at the 21-yard line by Kim Bocamper. He nearly slipped by him and went for the first down. And the field goal team is coming on again for the Saints.
He made a very deceptive move in and out before he hit the hole. Looked like he was going to be caught near the line of scrimmage, but he really did a great job of running and got the most out of that play he possibly could.
Well, the Dolphins were looking for pass, and they got run. And there is a 2-minute warning given to each bench. The score, New Orleans 6 and the Miami Dolphins nothing.
If you had driven along this street just a few years ago, the cars would have been very different. But now, more and more people are driving cars like the Honda Accord 4-door sedan, with room inside for 4 adults and their possessions. It's a true sedan in every sense. In fact, the Accord 4-door is one of the most successful front-wheel drive sedans in America. Simple proof that society has outgrown the big sedan.
Honda, we make it simple.
John Burns joined the Army in March and kept us waiting until October. Kathy Wolf joined the Army in May and kept us waiting all summer. If you're a high school graduate or about to be, you can join the Army now and take up to 12 months to report for duty. That way, if you qualify, we can guarantee you the skill training that makes you happiest. And we think a happy soldier is worth waiting for. This is the Army, a chance to serve your country as you serve yourself. Call this number toll-free.
With Medicare costs out of sight, 60 Minutes looks at a hospital bill. Length of stay, 23 days. Size of bill, $77,000. Sunday on CBS.
This will be a 39-yard field goal attempt by Benny Ricardo. He's already kicked a 36 and a 34-yarder. This is up, and this kick is good again. 3 in a row for Benny Ricardo. And Orleans has a 9-0 lead. 2 minutes to play, a little under 2 minutes to play in the first half. That Ricardo is really accurate. We're going to repeat once more. He has not missed a field goal inside the 40 since September of '78.
Just think what it would have been like had they made that decision early enough to where they could have helped themselves in the first 3 games. It would have made a tremendous difference.
They blew the field goal, or they would have beat San Francisco in the opener. And incidentally, Hank, Ricardo walked out of the Lions camp. A rookie, Eddie Murray, took his job, and he has kicked 7 out of 8 so far for the Lions. Well, the Lions didn't lose much when Ricardo walked away.
And of course, Murray played his collegiate football at Tulane, right there in New Orleans.
Besselo is deep. The Saints have dominated the first half, and they're leading 9-0. Here's Ricardo to kick off. Besselo returned the kickoff 87 yards against Atlanta last week. That's been the longest kickoff return of the still young 1980 NFL season. There's a squibbler. Bounding around, scooped up on the 20. Getting out to the 30. Still running with the ball. Trying to get out of bounds, and finally getting out of bounds on the 39-yard line with a tackle by Waymore is Nick Giaquinto. He has quite a story. He's been cut by 3 teams from 2 different countries. He was cut by,
be a world's record, isn't it?
yeah, I think he was cut by the Giants, cut by another team, and cut by Ottawa in the Canadian League. And finally they picked him up here. Shula says, you know, he's not fast, he's not this, he's not that, but boy, how he hustled. Charlie White on an 8-yard run has just scored. It's Tampa Bay 13, Cleveland 10. Well, it's White starting to place the ball now for the Cleveland Browns, the Heisman Trophy winner of last year. Miami's ball on their own 39 with a first down. Woodley going on the run. He throws it right into the hand of Reggie Mathis. Mathis running around with the ball.
And he can run.
And he's out of bounds. Woodley threw the ball right into the arms of the Saint linebacker who was dropping.
He goes back into the pocket and then rolls out. It's a predetermined roll. And they hooked the defensive end that time in good shape. He gets on the outside. I don't know who he was throwing the ball to because he threw it right to Mathis, who was the only one open on the play. And Mathis really has excellent speed for a linebacker. See him running to the outside and just finally knocked out of bounds by Williams, number 24.
Well, New Orleans ball on the Miami 34-yard line. Another New Orleans scoring opportunity just before the end of the half. They're ahead 9-0 on 3 Ricardo field goals. That's the 3rd turnover charge to the Dolphins. The Saints have not given the ball up once in the first half. First down as they come up. 1 minute and 32 seconds remain in this half.
Saints have 3 timeouts left.
That's to Wayne Wilson. Cuts back at the 30. There goes a flag down. He reaches the 27 of Miami. Rusty Chambers dropped him there. Let's see what the flag is. Looking into that Saint offensive line.
Looked like a face mask.
It is.
Face mask against Miami.
It's against the Dolphins. This will be tacked on, and this is a costly one now for the Dolphins. This is not twisting. This is just a regular face mask call.
Face mask, number 77.
A.J. Dewey committed the foul. The ball's on the 22-yard line of the Dolphins.
And that was a 5-yard penalty. If you twist it and try to rattle him a little bit, I'm talking about his head, that's a 15-yard penalty. This is a 5.
Lining up in the I formation. Harris in motion. Wilson again. He pounds to the 15-yard line. The Saints are opening some holes now. Vern Den Herter made the tackle. The defensive veteran left end.
The middle of the offensive line did a good job of creating running room. John Hill, Emmanuel Zanders, and Sturt, all of whom got good pressure, a good push, which provided the running room for Wilson, number 30.
Muncie's coming in. Wilson goes out. Wilson's looked good here in the last 5-6 minutes of this game. Starting in his second season after they benched Muncie and Galbraith today. They played. There's Bob Greasy, who's been benched. I believe we're going to see Mr. Greasy in the second half, though.
Yeah, I'll go way out on a limb and say, I'll be a little clairvoyant and say he's going to play in the second half.
And you know what? You really got courage. I've always admired your courageous calls.
That's right.
Huh?
Yeah. We'll have an investigation if he doesn't play in the second half. Wayne Wilson is 6'3", 208, second-year pro from Shepherd, and he's really done a good job here this afternoon.
That's Strock. He's sort of been pushed back to the third-string quarterback. Now here's the setup. There are 1 minute and 18 seconds to go in the first half. There's Archie Manning, number 8, talking to Dick Nolan. We'll have broadcast scores and highlights of other games at halftime. The Saints have the ball on the Miami 15 with a second down 3, and they have 2 timeouts left. Don Shula signed a new contract. Glad to see him stay here. He's been identified with his franchise, build him into Super Bowl kings, and he likes Florida living. Joe Robbie gave him a great contract, well deserved.
Be a good time for a draw someplace in here, Kurt.
Second down 3. That's Muncy. Fumbles the ball. Big pile up there. Let's see who's got it. Doug Betters hit him and jarred it loose, and the Dolphins recover, and New Orleans lost a great chance to take a good lead into the locker room at halftime.
You know, New Orleans has had tremendous field position, and it's ridiculous, or really unbelievable, I should say, probably, that they only have 9 points in the game where they maybe should have had 21 at least because of the great field positions that they had. Here's Muncy. He gets hit. The ball pops loose. Dewey is in, and Baumauer, both of whom made good contact, and the ball pops loose.
By the way, Henry, that is the first fumble that New Orleans has lost this year. About 3.5 games with only a minute and 9 seconds to go in the first half. Dolphins back on their 12-yard line with a first down and trailing 9-0. Woodley runs a quarterback draw play. Flag is down. He gets it out to the 17. Hit by Alois Grooms, the left end. They drop that flag immediately. Now what the rookie's got to do, there's a penalty against Miami. He has to keep from making a mistake coughing this ball up. Last time he was in, he threw an interception. There can't be any fumbling as far as if you're rooting for the Dolphins or coaching them. And the Saints are trying to force another turnover.
But the Saints, again, have totally dominated this first half, and they've done so because they've really had excellent field position, whereas the Miami Dolphins have been in the soup most of the afternoon and haven't really had much of an opportunity to do much or to generate any kind of an offense, which is a great credit to the New Orleans Saints defense.
7-yard line of Miami. First down and 15. Nathan has replaced Delvin Williams as the running back. Nathan's number 22. First down, 15. Here's the draw play. Nathan slips and goes down. He's down at the 6 or 7-yard line by Joe Fetterspiel, the middle linebacker. Up in the corner, you see the clock ticking away. The Saints have 2 timeouts left, and they may exercise one right now. Is that on an injury? Yeah, it's a timeout against the Saints. This is the time to call them. So they have 1 timeout left. They're trying to get the ball back again with 50 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, they're trying to force them to kick, and I thought they took an awful lot of time to make that decision that time.
Dolphins earlier this week traded former All-Pro center Jim Langer to Minnesota for a 6th round and a 5th round pick. They just announced today. Otherwise, Langer was going to go to work at a St. Cloud, Minnesota bank. He was going to take a cut over $100,000. And he meant it, I guess. If he didn't play up there, he wasn't going to play here. He was going to work in a bank in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
I think underneath it all, he knew that eventually he would be traded and would eventually be able to make that kind of money with the Minnesota Vikings. The plan worked perfectly, plus the fact that the Miami Dolphins got 2 good draft choices for him, whereas the other way, they wouldn't have got a thing.
1 timeout left for the Saints. But it's 2nd down and 15 for Miami, so they have a couple of more downs to mess around. Delvin Williams comes back in. Miami is not threatened seriously in this game. And as Hank Stram said, the Saints have dominated. Probably should have scored more points. They can't get touchdowns. They've come up with 3 field goals.
And that oftentimes comes back to haunt you when you don't make touchdowns and just make field goals instead.
There's Delvin Williams coming out to the 20-yard line. That's the first good gain that he's made today. And it took Tommy Myers, a free safety, to stop him. Now the clock moving. And another timeout called against the Saints. They are now out of timeouts. 36 seconds remaining. Delvin Williams has gained 10 yards in 7 carries. This was a man that 2 years ago gained over 1,000 yards in a trade that brought him from the 49ers to Miami.
I can see why Don Shula has been so concerned about his offensive line. I talked to him yesterday, and he expressed that concern. And watching him play here this afternoon, they have really not done a very effective job. And of course, here you have to give, on the other side of the football, you have to give the Saints a lot of credit for doing a good job defensively.
I don't think people, Hank, really appreciate an offensive line. It takes a long time to build one. It takes great synchronization and timing for those men, tackle to tackle, to pull and help each other to play together. Once you get one, you've really got something.
The one thing about an offensive lineman, you know, they don't really appreciate what you do until something goes wrong, and then everybody is fully aware, and that's when he gets a lot of heat, and they do a lot of squeaking about the offensive line.
The ball's on the 20-yard line of the Dolphins with a 3rd down and 3 to go. 36 seconds remaining in the first half. New Orleans leading 9-0. Delvin Williams, first down. Williams out to the 27-yard line.
Well, now the Miami team is going to call timeout.
They have their complement left of timeouts. They call a timeout. They have 2 left. 27 seconds remaining in the half, and our 3rd timeout in a row. You were talking about that Miami offensive line. Let's repeat again for those that joined us late. They took Bob Kuchenberg, the veteran of 11 years, from a guard today and made him back into a tackle. He says he is too small to play tackle. He weighs 255, but he'll do whatever they want him to do. Is that too small, 255, to be an offensive tackle?
Well, weight-wise, it isn't too bad, but he doesn't really have great height, and that's the problem. And most of the defensive ends are 6'6", 6'7", and with his being about 6'1", 6'2", it's a distinct disadvantage because the defensive man can use his hands and he's so much taller that he can get his hands on the shoulder pads of the offensive tackle if he doesn't have good size and turn him, and it makes a big problem for that block.
Then they took a veteran of 8 years, Ed Newman, from right guard to left guard today, and then put Larry Little back in the lineup, 14-year veteran at right guard. So that's the big shakeup, and the shakeups are putting the old veteran back in there where they used to lead the way in the Super Bowl year. Woodley is firing deep, 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 deep. It is incomplete. Nearly intercepted by Tommy Myers. The pass intended for Guriel Harris.
Boy, that's one thing about Tommy. Once you take a sniff downfield and look and advertise where you're going to throw the football, you can rest assured that he's going to be there. He rolls to the right, but now look at him. He's looking to his left all the way. Tommy Myers, a free safety, gets a good jump on the ball. You see him in the hole. He's got to help on that post pattern, which he does, and he almost comes up with another big interception.
Tell you one thing, Hank, this Woodley can throw a long ball.
Yes, he can.
2nd down, 10.
You heard the story about Pastorini in Hawaii. They asked him to throw a ball up to the 6th floor of the hotel room. He threw it up there 6 floors, and they couldn't believe how far he threw it. But United said, yeah, but the receiver was on the 2nd floor.
Here's the Big Ben play where they put 3 wide receivers on one side. They just hope for anything on this. You throw it down there. It's complete to Nathan, 45, 40. Nathan to the 38. Time moving, 7. They stop the clock. Dolphins come in and stop the clock. They have 1 timeout left, 7 seconds remaining in the half.
They have 3 wide receivers on the outside. Here we see Nathan, number 22, coming into the middle area. Mathis thought he was going to come up with another interception, but Nathan made the play, and it's a big first down for the Miami Dolphins.
All right, 7 seconds. What's the strategy?
Well, 7 seconds, and they've got 1 more timeout left. They might try to get 1 more pass somewhere close enough where they can get a field goal. Or they might decide they're going to throw the ball deep downfield to get some kind of a play where they get pass interference, a jump ball situation where they come up with a big play.
You throw to the sideline in the pass to complete it, stop the clock, step out of bounds, and kick the field goal?
Well, if they double cover like they should, it'd be very difficult to get the ball to the outside, to an outside receiver. It winds up that you normally would have to get the ball to the tight end or one of the backs in the outside area. Let's see what they choose to do.
Elmer Bailey's in there, Hank. He's a rookie from Minnesota. Woodley's come over. They're going to take Cephalo out, number 81. So the situation is New Orleans is leading 9-0. 7 seconds to go in the first half. We've had just one timeout after another. 3 called in a row by the Saints and then 2 by Miami.
There's Big Ben on the left side, which means they have 3 receivers on the outside to one side and 1 to the opposite side to the right side with 1 back remaining in the backfield to help block.
There he goes to the sideline and it's overthrown. He was trying to reach Nat Moore.
He made a bad decision. The inside people were very open on the play. He made a decision to throw outside, way over the top. It falls incomplete. Here you see the 3 outside receivers, which is what they call the old Big Ben play. Nat Moore is going down the sideline. And watch the inside move. Tries to hit Nat. And even had he thrown it perfectly, had he thrown it right, it would have been a completion.
New Orleans knows about the Big Ben play. Year before last, they were murdered in the last few seconds by Atlanta twice on that play. Where 3 men around, they tipped the ball up in the air. Sloppy, looks sloppy, but it's effect. Now they have him on the right side.
Now they've got to throw the ball deep downfield and hope for some kind of a big play. Just throw it deep. There it is.
Intercepted in the end zone, being run out by Tommy Myers. Myers is still going. Look at him, he's up to the 40. Time is out for the half. That's the end of the first half. Larry Little, 66, made the tackle. So we have 3 field goals by Ricardo. That's been the scoring in the first half on a hot, steaming day in the Orange Bowl in Miami. And at halftime, in an interconference game, the New Orleans Saints 9 and the Miami Dolphins nothing.
When you come right down to it, what kind of a person should occupy the Oval Office? Should it be a person who, like Ronald Reagan, opens his presidential campaign with a statement that alienates the people of China and follows it up with a statement that disparages the American South, and who is always explaining today what he really meant yesterday? Or should a man sit here who understands how to bring the people of this country and the world closer together? Figure it out for yourself.
When I looked at Datsun 280ZX and Porsche 924, I also looked at this new Mazda RX-7, and that's all it took.
Just one look, that's all it took. Yeah, just one look, that's all it took.
You get a lot of refined sports car with the Mazda RX-7. You also get great mileage, and you get it all at a price that'll really make you look twice.
Yeah, the more you look, the more you like.
You're looking at the best dandruff shampoo money can buy because it's been clinically proven best. Testing at a major medical school proved it works faster, gives more complete dandruff control than any leading dandruff shampoo. It's Selsun Blue, the only leading shampoo with selenium sulfide, the anti-dandruff ingredient doctors recommend most. No other brand has it. Try Selsun Blue. It simply works best.
This is the true story of Fania Fenelon, a singer with all Paris at her feet, until the Nazi terror caged her in a camp where some would do anything to survive, bargain with their gifts.
I must wish to please them.
And risk their very souls.
You'll never know you. I'm not sure I wish to live.
In this nightmare, she played to live, and lived to tell the triumphant story of the women who were playing for time. Acclaimed as 3 of television's finest hours ever. Tuesday, September 30th.
This is our score at halftime. New Orleans 9 and Miami nothing. New Orleans Saints trying to win their first one. Miami's won 2, lost 1. Miami's won their 2 games late in the 4th period. That's when they've scored their points. So it'll be interesting, Hank, to see what happens here today.
Yes, and they've really avoided stepping on the mines, so to speak, because they've won 2 games in a waning minutes of seconds. I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Let's take a look at the scores here. 24-3, Bradshaw passing the Steelers into the lead over the Chicago Bears. That's at the end of the first half. Los Angeles with 2 touchdowns by Elvis Peacock, ahead of the New York Giants, 21-0. They're now playing early in the 3rd quarter. Minnesota and Detroit 7-7. Hank and I at the Vikings were red hot last week. The Lions are undefeated. And that's a good ball game, Hank, at halftime.
Yes, it is. And Minnesota is a much better team than people think they are, especially because of the fact that their young quarterback, Tommy Kramer, is playing extremely well and one of the outstanding young quarterbacks, I think, in the league.
Tampa Bay 13, Cleveland 10. Tampa Bay had a 13-3 lead, and then Charles White of USC ran 8 yards for a score, so that's a tight one over at Tampa Bay. And here is, this was a 10-0 lead, Hank, for Cincinnati. Houston's come back. It's at halftime, 10-7, the Bengals.
Yeah, Cincinnati in the preseason picks, I thought perhaps they would be the sleeper in that division. They got off to a poor start, but they're very talented. They have about 12 number 1 draft choices on that team, and I'll be very surprised if they don't wind up having a winning season.
Look at this now. Third period, Oakland's finally scored with a pass intercepted by Oakland, a 48-yard run return by Lester Haas to make it 17-7, Buffalo over Oakland. If Buffalo holds that lead, Hank, they're undefeated in their first 4 games.
Yes, that's amazing, and Chuck Knox has really done a remarkable job with the Buffalo Bills, and but this game is a long way from being over. Oakland has an outstanding passing attack, and any time that you can throw the ball as well as they do, you've always got a chance to come back with some big plays in the second half and do a number on the team that you're playing against.
Dallas 7, Green Bay nothing. First period, Tony Dorsett on a 1-yard run. That's the only score of that game. 7-0, Dallas leading Green Bay in the first quarter. And the Cardinals and the Eagles, first quarter, the Cardinals leading the Eagles 7-0. And by the way, in our feature, Jack Whittaker's features on legends of the NFL, Sid Gilman, who's now a special advisor to the Eagles, is going to be the featured guest on that. Well, that's the scoreboard from we do a scoreboard show here within the ball game from the Orange Bowl of Miami. Here's our score here, 9-0, the Saints over the Dolphins at halftime. And stay tuned as the NFL Today continues after this word from your local station.
Thursday, Gabe Kaplan stars in the network premiere of a wild comedy of errors, Fast Break, a CBS special movie presentation. Thursday night at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
This is CBS.
If you think you've seen more fancy passing this season, well, it's not just a passing fancy. And if you were to point to one man as responsible for today's pass on any down, anytime, anywhere philosophy, that man probably would be Sid Gilman. He's now the quarterback coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And that influence began taking shape as soon as Gilman became head coach of the Los Angeles Rams in 1955. Today, it is estimated that 75% of the passing games in the NFL are directed by Gilman disciples.
Give me a 49, Joe. 49. 2 steps, takes the angle, flattens it off, and then sets himself.
I've been coaching football for 40 years now, and offense has always held my interest, and particularly the passing game. The idea of putting the ball in the air thrills everybody. It thrills the people in the stands. Generally, they don't care who catches it as long as the ball is put in the air, you see. My first quarterback was truly a great one, Norman Van Brocklin. I was very fortunate to come into the Rams at that time with Norm Van Brocklin because Norm knew the pro game, and coming from college, I had a tremendous adjustment to make.
Los Angeles, of course, is home of the dream factory called Hollywood, and perhaps that atmosphere encouraged Gilman to exercise his imagination. When he moved to the San Diego Chargers, he passed along his sorcery to assistant coaches Al Davis, Chuck Noll, and Bum Phillips, and a wonderful wide receiver named Lance Allworth.
Take a drive corner, Lance. Or, coming in from a good wide position and starting right down that middle and then breaking it off and taking it to the corner. You'll lose him. You'll lose him.
When I first joined the Chargers, I felt our passing game was really the ultimate. It was the epitome. We knew what we were doing because I had had this experience with the Rams. The only thing that we did, of course, was to make our passing game a great deal more sophisticated. We began to make a real study of individual patterns. We built films, a library of all the great stars running quicks, quick outs, comebacks, to find out how they did it. It was during that period that the bump and run style, the catch style of defense, was in vogue. You see, defenders could jam and jar and run with our pass receivers down the field, and as long as the ball was in the air, it was mayhem.
To open the passing game up, NFL rule makers got together and made a few changes.
And one of the most significant rules is that a defender is only permitted to jar a receiver one time. Beyond that, he cannot even give the receiver a dirty look for fear that there's going to be a handkerchief. Well, this is a beautiful rule. If you can imagine an end not having to worry about any defenders down the field. He is free to roam the field. Well, these good receivers can have a field day. Coaches in our league will now be a little more promiscuous in throwing the ball. That is, they won't go into a ball game with the idea that they've got to run 50 or 60 times in order to win.
Irv, what was it like in the secondary when Lance Ellsworth came at you?
It's mayhem for the defense, too. He had great jumping ability, and, of course, he had tremendous hands. He's, you know, an all-pro player and, of course, a Hall of Famer.
Would you like to play under the current rules? Would it help an Irv Cross?
Definitely not. I think the secondary has to have an opportunity to get positioned on the offense by using your hands. You can do it without knocking people down, but I think incidental contact should be allowed.
You're a marvelous track man, though. You could stick with it, right? Let's send you back now to the stadium and the game you're enjoying.
That's the score at halftime, 9-0, New Orleans over Miami. Here are some of the highlights of the first half. Defensive plays were most right on the opening kickoff. Veselu of Miami gives New Orleans a scoring opportunity. Watch this fumble.
Yes, he gets hit here by, I think, Clarence Chapman, number 24, who really makes a good hit. Right there, you see the hit coming into the football, and then it's recovered by Waymer, number 44, and the Saints have a good opportunity with good field position, but come away with only 3 points.
Yeah, they finally got a field goal out of it. Now, this is the rookie starting today, David Woodley, and he is going to unwind and watch what happens.
You know, I'm very surprised that he gets back into the pocket as slowly as he does. He does not have quick feet. He moves well once he starts to run. Interception there by Tommy Myers.
Here's the second New Orleans field goal. This is a 36-yarder by Benny Ricardo, who's been perfect today. 3 out of 3. That gave him a 6-0 lead. And a second interception by the youngster.
Here's a rollout pass. He goes back into the pocket, then rolls out to his right and throws to the only man who was open. This is Mathis, number 56 for the New Orleans Saints. He makes the interception. There he is. You see he's wide open, except he's got the wrong color shirt. Goes back to the inside, does a good job of running, tucks the ball away, runs from the left side of the field all the way over to the right side of the field. There you see him. Ray Brown tries to make a block, and he's finally knocked out of bounds.
And here's another field goal by Benny Ricardo. And that's it. That's the halftime score. New Orleans 9 and Miami nothing. Miami's coming back on the field. New Orleans will be out shortly, and then we'll be ready for the kickoff in the second half.
This Bud's for everyone who works, so we can play.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Introducing a car that combines the brain power of German engineers, Japanese engineers, American engineers. Introducing a world car. The new Ford Escort, built in America with better ideas from around the world. Higher gas mileage ratings than Rapid, Accord, Corolla hatchback. Yet roomier inside. With four-wheel independent suspension, front-wheel drive, Ford Escort, built in America to take on the world.